I left the corporate world for the freelance world 2 years ago and haven't even considered looking back since. If you're new to the channel, my name is Zach. I've been freelancing for over 2 years now and I've generated over $600,000 in revenue on the freelancing platform Upwork.com. Today I want to talk about the 5 key factors that made me, or I would say almost personality traits, that made me leave the corporate world to enter or have curiosity about the freelancing world. And I want to talk about some of the pros and the cons of those two things. So mainly the pros of why I decided to move into the freelancing world, and then kind of the flip side to each one of those pros, just to be, kind of fair to everybody. The first key factor was I have always been kind of driven financially. I've always had an interest in earning as much money as I can. The goal was for me to retire early and be able to provide for my family, travel wherever we want, do the kind of things that we want, purchase whatever we want, eat the foods that we wanted. And so I knew that the corporate world could get me there, but I knew that the freelancing world could get me there quicker because I've seen it from colleagues of mine. In the corporate world, I found that I was only in the corporate world for 2 years. I found that no matter how hard I worked or how much time and effort I put into that particular job, I was only ever going to be getting that yearly raise of whatever it might be, 5% that they would give company-wide. Now, this is the Fortune 500 world that I'm talking, so this is very corporate. And so I found that there was no correlation to either working hard and getting paid more money or working very little and getting paid the same amount of money. I once had a coworker that literally just sat on his phone for the entire day, did nothing. He just had his head down and was just typing away on his phone. He got paid a shitload more than me because he put in the time. He was there for, 10 years. But I was doing his entire workload plus my entire workload plus some additional things. And that didn't mean anything for me because I was a salaried employee. They gave pay raises based on the time you've been there, not by performance. And so that was kind of one of the key points that was like, it just felt unfair. I was like, there's gotta be a better way to be rewarded for the hard work that you do. And so that's when I turned to freelancing. Now, kind of the drawback to this lifestyle is if you do not work, now it kind of depends on the situation that you put yourself in. But for the typical freelancer that's just doing like gig work or project work for varying customers or clients, if you are earning an hourly wage from freelancing or you're doing fixed price jobs, however you're getting paid, the drawback to having the control over your earnings is that if you don't work, then you just don't get paid. And so if you are doing, hourly contracts in the freelancing world, then every hour that you don't work is an hour that you don't get paid. So if you're in the corporate life and you just do your regular 9 to 5 and you kind of just don't do anything all day long or all week or all month or whatever it might be, you'll still get paid your hourly wage. So that is kind of the drawback to freelancing, is that if you don't work, you simply just don't get paid. The second point I wanted to make, or the second factor as to why I moved into the freelancing world, was my desire for freedom of time in my schedule. Now, my life in the corporate world was very similar to others, even if it's a small corporate job or a Fortune 500 company job, or even a medium-sized company job. Monday through Friday, I worked in the same cubicle, I worked the same hours, I worked with the same people. In this particular job, I had to wear a suit and tie Monday through Friday. There were no questions. Suit, tie, jacket, every single day. And essentially just to earn the same wage. Now, obviously there are increases over the years. Those are very small percentage increase, maybe $5,000 to $10,000 of an increase every single year. And so that desire for the freedom of my time and schedule was a huge driver of me for moving into the freelance world. In my 9 to 5, I didn't really have a choice of when I had to be there or when I could go do something. Like if I wanted to run errands, for example, I couldn't just go jump in my car, go to Kroger and bring groceries home. That type of thing just doesn't exist. And now that I've seen like those things in the freelance world, it just makes the corporate world, the 9 to 5 world, just seems so much more structured and boxed, and you just don't have much freedom. Like I think I was given 10 vacation days for the entire year. Sick days were always questioned. Like I remember there was this rule, like an unspoken rule, where if you were sick, you might as well be sick for 3 days, because you can't do, like, let's say for example you're sick on a Monday and then you go back to work on Tuesday and then you're sick again on Wednesday. Those like non-concurrent sick days would get you in trouble. You'd go down to HR and they'd be like, hey, you took one day off, you were here the next, and then another day. They were just like, why did that happen? And so like that control over the sick days and how many days I took off, it was not appealing to me or exciting to me. There was also a written rule where we had to be like not physically in our chair, but at our cubicle for at least 9 hours of the day. I remember this one time I tested the 9-hour in your cubicle rule. And so we had badges, They said it was for security, but I'm fairly certain that it was for keeping tabs on us. But I would badge in at 7:15 a.m. and then I would badge out right at 4 p.m. So it was 8 hours and 45 minutes that I was there. And sure enough, I did that for a week. And sure enough, the next week I got called down to HR and they said, hey, you're badging out 15 minutes early every day. What's going on? Which was weird because I would work weekends and I would work evenings, and that really didn't matter to them. But being there for 9 hours was extremely important for when I wasn't meeting the 9 hours. But when I exceeded the 9 hours or the 40 hours a week, 45 hours a week, whatever it was, there was no, hey, nice job, or there was no like, hey, take off early Friday because you worked all weekend. None of that existed. So in the freelance world, I now have control of creating my own schedule. If my wife needs me to watch the kids for a few hours while she goes to an appointment or something, I can just turn my computer off, go watch my kids, she can go do her thing, and I don't have to submit like permission to my manager and get permission to go do this or that. I have full control over that, which kind of goes, in the counterpart to this is it also kind of goes back to that earnings piece. So any time that I take off, I don't get paid for those hours. So you just got to be mindful of you're not scheduling too much time off, or if you're earning exactly what you want and you only want to work 20 hours a week, that's totally fine. That is an option. So the drawback to having the freedom of your schedule and your time is it does come at a cost. To be cut out for freelancing, you really need to be disciplined, because you do have full control over how much time and work you put into this life or to this business or this freelancing gig that you're trying to start. You can't rely anymore on somebody just giving you work. You can't rely on still earning that salary even if you're taking the time off. So the time off and the freedom of schedule does create this kind of like this feeling of, okay, I don't need to go do this, but you still need to be disciplined and take those meetings, take those extra projects, work those extra hours. So just being cognizant of that, and that you don't have the ability to just take a full week off. There are repercussions to that. The third point that moved me into the freelancing world is my favorite one, and that is the ability to work anywhere in the world. I can't even count the number of trips that my family and I took last year, just because of the freedom that we have now, that I can work from just my laptop, just my tiny laptop, from a hotel room, from the beach, from wherever it might be. We did Florida, we went skiing, we went to Italy for a few weeks, we went to California, we're getting ready to go to Canada. That ability to just take your laptop and be that digital nomad is a really freeing feeling and a really powerful feeling, knowing that you're not bound to a cubicle or bound to a physical location at your desk in your office. So one of the things I do now is, if I know I've got a trip coming up, I'll schedule any anticipated meetings that I would have for that particular week 1 week prior, and just get all those meetings done, and then just have the week that I'm on vacation be just development week. So I would tell all my clients, hey, this week I'm dedicating all my time to just development work, and that's all I'm going to be doing. No meetings, no nothing, just heads down, grind it out. And so during that week of vacation, I could go to a coffee shop, or I could go to the beach and just work for 4 hours on just development stuff, and I wouldn't have to have those meetings with those clients. And so I'd have that ability to just literally take my laptop and work anywhere I wanted. So I actually sat here for quite some time trying to think of a con or a drawback to the ability to work anywhere in the world, because I am trying to be free. You know, it's not all sunshine and rainbows with freelancing. I can't come up with a single drawback at this point of why you would not want the ability to work anywhere in the world. You work in your bed in your PJs or at a park on a bench somewhere. It doesn't really matter. And so like I said, I can't come up with drawback. If you can think of one, comment down below what you think the drawback is. That would be helpful. The next point I want to make is having the opportunity to work on new projects across multiple industries. In freelancing, you'll be exposed to a wide range of industries. They could be small mom and pop shops that maybe sell cupcakes or donuts, or it could be a huge Fortune 500 company like Sony, or like Apple or Google or NASA, whatever it might be. You'll have the ability to be exposed to those different industries and be able to work on really interesting projects all the time, learning new things all the time, which makes freelancing really fun because you're not constantly doing the same thing over and over again, the same, Monday morning stand-up meeting or the same Wednesday afternoon data cleansing, whatever it might be. You'll be exposed to varying different industries and learn all about different companies. One of my favorite projects that I worked on was for this MLB betting company. They specialized, like their entire company is just gambling. That's all they did was gamble. But they had a very specific algorithm that led to a lot of success for them. And so what they wanted me to build for them was this Excel simulation model. So they provided me their algorithm, and I basically took that algorithm and converted that into VBA code. So they could go into this Excel program, type in the parameters that they want, and it would run hundreds and thousands of iterations against those parameters that they provided, and it would give them a probability of whatever bet that they were trying to make. It would give them a probability of success rate, like what's the percent chance that this bet will hit based on all these parameters that you provided. So that project was really fun to build. And it's really cool knowing that I built a tool for them that is like kind of their foundation of their company. That is how they run. This tool is like the only way that they succeed. And so that was extremely rewarding. It was super fun. The guys that I worked with were awesome. They were great. So just that chance to work with really cool people, really fun projects, is a huge upside to freelancing. Now the counter to having exposure to multiple industries is that there is a period of like learning that you have to take for each new industry that you come into. So if it's like healthcare, for example, and they need something done, maybe dashboarding or reporting, or it might be just an Excel job, there is a period of time, it could be a couple hours, it could be a couple days, where you just have to learn their industry and their lingo, their terminology, all their corporate jargon, just to be kind of on the same page as them. That does take time, and it's sometimes exhausting. It can be kind of frustrating sometimes too, because you don't know exactly what they want, and you just have to learn what their industry is about and learn everything about them before you can even actually start working on their projects. The fifth and final point about freelancing that I absolutely love is the ability and the choice to work on the projects that you want. So this is kind of the flip to the prior point about multiple industries that you get exposed to. Having the ability to choose the projects that you get to work on allows you to be in control of kind of like the things that you enjoy working on. So if somebody invites you to a job, for example, and it's like, hey, we need a data entry specialist, or we need somebody to go into our system and enter in new data every Friday at 3 p.m. One, that is not something I would ever agree to, because then it's like you're basically a salaried employee again, and you have to be doing this thing at 3 o'clock on Friday. Anyways, you have the choice on which projects you work on. It's not just the projects that you work on that you have a choice with, but you also have a choice of who you work with. There have been, I don't even know, probably 50 contracts that I've turned down simply because I got on the phone with the client and this person was just not somebody I wanted to be working with. You know, last week, actually, for example, I started an interview. You know, we scheduled a meeting. We said 1 o'clock, let's be on this meeting. Let's talk about this project. I got on the call and his voice or his Zoom was muted, and he put up a finger and he said, just wait 1 second. And I said, okay, that's fine. He might be doing something. And I see him on the phone and he's talking, and the conversation on that phone call went for 5 minutes. He was sitting back in his chair, you know, talking. And I'm like, this guy can't even give me the time of day to take our scheduled meeting for the project that he wants done. I just don't think that this is a person that I want to work with. If they can't prioritize my time or value my time in this meeting, I'm simply just not going to work with them. So that call ended pretty shortly. I told him that, you know, I'm sorry, but I don't really feel like we're going to be a good fit. My time is valuable here, and you absolutely did not value that time, so I'm going to have to pass on this project. Ended the call, never heard from him again, obviously, but having that ability to choose the project you work on, the people that you work with, is very, very empowering. Now, the flip side to having this choice is that, as I mentioned before, the early stages of your freelancing career, you don't have the full control of picking which projects you work on and who you work with. For me, it was, okay, I'm just going to work with everybody at whatever hourly rate, try to get as many clients as I can just to build up that Upwork profile. Because your Upwork profile, or whatever freelancing platform you're on, your value is in your reputation on that particular platform. So in those early stages of your career in freelancing, you kind of just have to suck it up and work with people you might not want to work with, work on projects you might not want to work with, just to get that reputation behind your profile, those numbers, those hourly, the earned dollars, the total projects worked, and the number of hours worked. Just to pump those numbers up, you kind of just got to go through a little bit of a grind period at the beginning. Once you've become established on the platform, you'll get to a position to where I've fortunately put myself in, to where I'm not writing a ton of proposals anymore, and I'm just getting invites to jobs. And so it's really, I have full control now on what projects I take on and what clients I take on, because my reputation on Upwork is so high. I am seen as the subject matter expert. And so, you know, like I said, I'm getting 3 or 4 invites every single day to jobs. Either I take them on because I like the project or I like the client, or I decline them because I don't have the time, or I particularly don't like the client or the project that they're asking me to do. So if you're interested in getting into freelancing, I hope this overview of my experience is somewhat helpful. If you found some help in this video, please smash that like button. Please smash that subscribe button. Don't just click it, smash it. It goes a very long way in helping me provide these kind of tips and tricks and tutorials into the freelancing world. I wish you all the very best in your freelancing career. Until next time, peace.